Fish On.
This is the New York Angler Fishing Podcast, brought to you by nyangler.com, your secret spot online. Hosted by the man who introduced New Yorkers to the world of online fishing, Mr. George Skaka.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the New York Fishing Podcast. My name is George Skaka. I will be your host. I would first like to apologize for being away. I had some great momentum going there, a few thousand people a week listening in, and I totally apologize. Life got in the way, and I'm kind of a one-man band when it comes to this particular fishing podcast, although I do really love doing it. Before we begin here this week, I'd like to mention a few things. First of all, for those of you that are not aware, although most of us are at this point, we lost a legend in fishing, in recreational fishing here in New York. His name was Fred Galifaro. Sadly, he passed away. And I would like to extend my sincere condolences to all of his friends and family, as well as to all of us who enjoyed reading his editorials, his articles, his insight. He was a great fisherman. I knew Fred for many, many years, although we were on two different sides, so to speak. We always managed to get along. I always respected him for what he brought to fishing. And again, I'd like to just express, I really feel bad for the entire fisherman family. So with that said, I'd also like to reach out to a listener in the middle of the country. His name is Kevin Foss. I hope he's listening in right now. He's been fighting cancer for quite a while. Many of us know him. I know him. He was the first surf moderator on the website because John Skinner didn't really want to be. He was so busy doing stuff. And Kevin stepped in, did a great job. He helped with so many things and organized so many trips. Back in the day, Northeast was it. There was no Facebook. There was nothing else. So we all met. And many of these people, I'm sure a lot of people listening, have met through Northeast at one step or another. And we actually have that going on right now at NewYorkAngler.com. But I'd like to say, Kevin, you're fighting the fight, brother. Keep on doing it. And I do pray for you, and I hope that you are able to recover and catch some more fish. And then there's one last hero I'd like to reach out to and say hello to, and that would be my friend Gil. He, you may remember him as Aquaholic on the Northeast.com fishing site. He was a great contributor. I fished with him on a few occasions. He took my son. We went out and we had just a great day catching striped bass right on the west side of Mauritius Inlet. And again, there's another warrior who's been battling a tough disease and doing a great job. And, I want you to know that I think about you guys. Haven't been a survivor myself. I went through all that, and it's a terrible thing to, hear that you have it, and the family and everybody that goes through everything. And I just want you to know that, you probably don't think it, but, you're on my mind. And I do think about you guys. And I wish and hope and pray for the best for you, as well as anybody else that's listening right now that's dealing with it, because I'm sure there's many of us. Okay, so let's get to fishing. Look, I think we can all say that we had some crazy season here so far in New York. But before I get into the fishing, I've always got my view on things. And in this particular situation, I'm going to talk about tog, right? So, and what I think, what we're looking at and what's happening and what I think should be done. The first thing is I think we should have the potters and the rec guys should have the same minimum size fish, period. I think we all agree we're all catching a lot of fish. It's right there. And why do you think that is? So I really think we need to address that. But with that said, we are having one hell of a tog season. So, everyone I'm talking to, North Shore, South Shore, everyone's having action off the hook. Not everybody's coming home with keepers, although there have been a lot of big fish, especially on the East End. So, and I also, I'm on the web all day. I'm looking around, seeing what's going on and getting a feel for things. And, a lot of people, they're finding that the black fishing on the Connecticut side is a lot better than on the New York side. So a lot of guys have been going there and doing pretty well. I feel they're probably a little bit closer, but, when there's something there, you just go get it. So, but again, I hear the same thing. 15 inches, 15 and a half. So that's my first gripe I have. The other one is the most ludicrous, regulation that we have seen in this state is where we have a 3 fish bag limit in the Sound and a 4 fish bag limit, what New York Bight, wherever they draw the line, right? So, I don't know. Do we need 3 fish in the Sound? The fishing is off the hook in the Sound. So no pun intended. So I don't know. I never liked it from the beginning. I don't think it's fair. It has always traditionally, before that fishery became, profitable in the live fish market, it was 80% recreational. So I'm not saying that it's not even 80% now, because I don't know what the number is, but I can only say that I do believe the potters need to be counted. They all need to be permitted. They should be paying to catch those fish in some way, manner, or form. Not a lot of money, but they should be, pay for whatever the cost is to regulate and maintain it. Obviously my preference would be to get rid of them altogether, but now it looks like we've got something that's working for everyone. So I'm not opposed to that. But I will say that there's 3 fish thing on the North Shore and 4 fish on the South Shore. It's ridiculous. If anything, it should be the other way around. So, I don't think it should be, but if it had to be, it should be the other way around. The black fishing on the North Shore is off the hook. Again, no pun intended. So that's one of my rants. My other rant is all this BS that's happening out on the East End. I am so sick of the residents, the people that own these homes on the beaches. I'm so sick of them, telling the world what they want, and then they get it. So now they're pushing fishermen off the beach. They've already won in the courts, and there's lawsuits, and they actually wrote tickets to fishermen. These commercial fishermen, baymen, have been working that area. I'm not here to speak for baymen, but they have been working that area for like 300 years. There's easements and deeds dating back into the 1800s that say that piece should always be available for fishing and fishing-related purposes. But hey, the people in there, they don't. We bought this house, $6 million, I don't know, 10, 15, what can a house cost on the beach in the Hamptons? Got to be a lot of money. And we don't want to see the fishermen. So what? They've been doing this for 300 years. So what? Fishing is a right, and you don't own that water. So So what? No big deal. But we don't want to see you here. So we're not going to have you here. They pulled the same BS with the wind farms. So I'm sure there's a large population in that area that supports green energy. I think we'll all agree on that. But at the same time, don't put those fans outside of my window. You want me to look at a windmill? Are you kidding? That's what you get. So now they're kicking us off the beaches, and they're going to get it. And a lot of these places, we pay for the actual sand that's on the beach because they keep losing it because they keep building houses. So, I mean, look, I am really sick and tired of this, and it looks like they're going to win this. So, I mean, they might not. I don't know, but it does look like they are going to win this. They've already won a couple of cases, and, this is going to be a reality. So, we have not the greatest access anywhere. We have limited access. You try and go, fishing on the North Shore somewhere east of Port Jeff, or, try and find somewhere there to fish on the shore where you're going to catch fish. Aren't too many places. And there's not too many places to launch your boat either. So, but getting back to the Hamptons, this is never ending. And, they will get their way. It's going to get to the point that, the only thing that's going to be allowed on that beach is a piping plover. And that'll be it. So, okay, those are my two rants for the week. But again, I do want to mention we really are having a great, great fall fishery. I don't know. I'd like to hear from some folks out there, but I have heard there seemed to be a lack of slot fish, which is kind of a little scary. Seems a little early for that, being that they were targeted. Now they're just targeted. That was always my problem with this thing. And now, I'm hearing that the slot fish are tough to catch. I'm seeing a lot of big ones. And the striped bass fishing is crazy. I mean, the jig bite on the South Shore, you got a unbelievable plug bite on the North Shore. So, we've got great fishing, but not a lot of fish coming home. You see those fish are going back in the water, but it still plays for great action. And, me personally, doesn't matter to me if I get a slot or not. Just the ability to fight and catch and release a bass is good for me, and as I imagine it is for many of you. So I have a guest here today who many of you know that have been around on the boards, and his name is Benny Bolo, and he is a moderator on the NewYorkAngler.com board, and I'd like to thank him for that. He's very knowledgeable. He's been around fishing for quite a while. He's recently started a new tackle company. It's starting out with jigs and other things and, apparel. He's a local guy. Everything's made here in the U.S. of A. And he is quite an interesting listen. I happen to like Benny really a lot. So, you know what? We're just going to bring that conversation to you right now. It's going. I am speaking with one of our favorite members over there at NewYorkAngler.com, and it's Benny Bolo. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him. He's worked on the Snow Goose. He's kind of outspoken and somebody I would consider to be knowledgeable and a lot of fun. So, Benny, tell us, do me a favor. So how often are you working on the Snow Goose? How long you been on and off with the boat?
I've been with Kevin about 10 years now. It was great. He actually put up an ad on Northeast back in the day and said, "Hey, I need a mate, for Saturdays," and that was about 10 years ago. So it's been fun. I worked deck. I got my captain's license over the pandemic. So next year
great.
Potentially, yeah. It was it was one of the good things that came out of the pandemic, I guess you could say. So potentially next year, I might have the pleasure of operating that vessel, from time to time. So,
well,
really excited about it.
Yeah, that's it's a good fishery over there. What are you guys mainly targeting?
So Kevin, Captain Kevin Reynolds, he's the owner and operator. Basically a one-man show these days, but he loves bottom fishing. So usually start off with fluke, late April or early May, depending on when the season opens, and then we'll switch over to porgies when that kind of dies out. Which, unfortunately, the last few years it seems it's been happening earlier and earlier. Which I know we've spoke about that in the past. So we also talked about some reasons that might be, but I'll leave that alone for now. And then we switch over to the porgies, and now he's black fishing. So last trip is actually November 14th.
Okay, and what port do you guys sail at?
So it's the Byram River, and we have a dock right behind Bar Taco Restaurant for those local in Connecticut, Westchester. It's a pretty popular restaurant right on the water there, and that's where we leave at it.
I know where that is. I didn't realize that's where you were leaving at it. So you must live near Westchester, then, I'm guessing, and because you seem to know that West Sound pretty well. So I can remember a time I fished a lot in the West Sound. I have a close friend. I'm sure you see him every now and then, the guy Steve. He is Steve Luft. So he's a real crazy fisherman. Him and I, we've been, we used to take out a 10 horsepower tiller and in February and go running as far as we could with the thing. And but he's still fishing there, and he's telling me that the black fishing this year has been really good. A lot of shorts, but a lot of fish. He says he's just going through crab after crab. So I don't know what you guys are saying, but everything I'm hearing.
Ton of action.
Yeah. So let me ask you this time of year, right? I mean, out of all the fishermen that, are in this fishery, you got everybody's kind of like a specialist. There are guys that do it all, but, there are guys that are specialists. And when it comes to black fishing, I feel like everybody kind of takes that a step more serious because there's more to it. So,
sure.
So being on these boats, I'm wondering how often do you find a guy go mug someone after he catches a big fish? I mean, does it happen like it used to? Because I can remember years ago when I party boat fished, if you caught a big fish, next thing you knew, you had like 5 guys around you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happens to a certain degree. I mean, I really started out in the business when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I was fishing offshore. I wasn't big into camps. My parents said, "Hey, you want to go to camp?" I said, "Not my thing." I just didn't like it. I wanted to get out on a fishing boat. So the biggest and the best boat around back when I was a kid was a Riptide 3 at City Island. So, that's a huge boat, 80, 90 feet. We used to take out a ton of guys, and mugging back then in, let's call it the mid to late 90s, took on a different sense. And that was really because, you can only put so much of a boat that size on the wreck.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Or the rock pile or whatever you're fishing. So, the pros, let's call them, back in the day, and still to this day to a certain extent, although it's a little bit more watered down now, they would watch who was getting hits and who didn't really have a clue, and they would be right on the spot, and a big thing back then as well as it is today is, finding out where the transducer is on the boat. I mean, if you could find that out prior to getting there, you could definitely, get a better position than some.
Well, I can tell you firsthand that there's no more truth to that statement. I mean, that statement is so true because for example, when I fished with Desi on those, those trips that we used to do, if he saw me doing really bad, he'd say, "Okay, look, the transducer's over there. Go over there, But there's a lot of truth to that. So let me ask you this: do you ever get? Because I see it. And you ever get a guy gets all his baits ready, gets them in the bucket, cuts all the legs, and does everything nice, and he puts it down, and then some stranger starts reaching in the guy's bucket using his bait. I mean, do things like that happen on the boat still?
All the time. I mean, and I find a lot of the time it's not really done with any sort of intent, right. From a bad way. It's just somebody doesn't know. And one of the common things that happens to me, because I'm on the boat every Saturday working, I see guys come on and they've never been on the boat before. They sit down, first rod in front of them. They go, "This is the one I'm going to use today." Meanwhile, it's somebody's custom rod from, some crazy guy who tied it up and they paid $500 for it. And they think, today's my day. I get to fish with the best rod on the boat. And then I'm like, "Here's your boat rod," which great rods, by the way. Kevin made a whole set over the winter last year. So he ties rods, him and his son, Jack. They do great work. And, he said, "Hey, I can't, these guys are missing fish. We can't fish with these telephone poles anymore." So he tied up his own set of custom rods. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I never personally, I probably spoke with Kevin at some point, but early on, but I can say that his business supported, our efforts, both at Nori Saltwater, Noris.com, very heavily. And, he always ran it like a business. And I know my brother, God rest his soul, he really enjoyed dealing with them. And, I'm glad to see they're still around because there's so many that...
I've seen them come and I've seen them go. I've been doing this for 22 years now. I started when I was 13 working galley on the Riptide. So here I am 22 years later. And, there's a lot of flash in the pan type operations that come and go. He started out with a small boat, basically a 6-pack, and no customers. And he, 25 plus years now, he's going at it, so it really makes you stop and think about what's possible. I mean, he used to stand outside the Greenwich train station with a handful of flyers, and he wouldn't even go up to people. If people asked him about it, he would hand it out because that's the kind of guy he is. But that business is growing leaps and bounds to the point where, it's crazy to say this, but, sometimes he's turning away business or charters just because he can't do it all.
Yeah, it's a well-respected boat, and it's in a good spot, and he's kept a great name for himself, and I'm glad that they're able to succeed, especially after we went through the pandemic and who could fish and who couldn't fish. So
it was tough. It was tough for our industry overall. I mean, we didn't get much funding from any sort of loans or anything. I know.
Forget that.
I think it was the Party Boat Association, Preston up there in Groton. He was helping guys out. I mean, I'm not an owner. I just work, but there wasn't as much as some of the other industries, and sailing with limited loads and things like that. It really made it tough, but
it was the whole thing was stupid.
Yeah,
sorry, people were outside in a freaking boat. Let them fish, for God's sakes. Well,
it was tough, but onward and upward, right? So I think it made people stop. It made people stop and think like, hey, I don't have to travel to, Martha's Vineyard or, all over the place looking for, fishing. There's operations in my backyard. So I think in that regard, it really made people realize what they have in their community. And I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day. There's trickle down effect, whether it's from party boats, charter boats, tackle shops. I mean, we're really a strong part of the community, and I think people realize that a little bit more now than prior to pandemic. Just because they had to look in their own backyard for something to do with their families. So
let me ask you this: were you around when the smartphones first came out with GPS capability, and the captains? This might have been before your time, but I don't think so, because you're around the 90s. So, and the captains were not confiscating, but asking everyone to leave their phones, like in a box, so they couldn't use them, and mark the spots. I don't know if you remember those days.
I remember the days. I don't remember who had it. Somebody had it on a website, or they had it posted on a boat. Any handheld GPS devices found on your person will be given the flow test. Yeah. And underneath it said in parentheses or quotation marks or whatever, it said, none of those devices float right now. So, I remember that one pretty good. I got a good chuckle out of that. But, there would always be the guys out there, you'd see them come out, and then they do a wide circle around your position. And, they're obviously, tagging the numbers or whatever, but it's crazy. I think the good part about the Western Sound is that there's a lot of structure. I think, often to a detriment now. I think, there's a lot more technology, so people don't really have to go out there and learn it, although some people still do. We'll find a new spot once in a while on the boat and we'll mark it, and it's in areas that we drove over 100,000 times. Like, literally, did we know that there was a great rock pile or a drop off or a wreck? So it does happen from time to time. But I mean, today's technology, it's a different type of beast. I remember the old. I used to fish with some guys that had the old paper Lowrance. They put the rolls on, and hold on.
Oh, I did that many years.
I don't think my kids are going to be knowing, about that at all.
Oh, so, forget that. The kids today, they're like, what do you mean there was no internet? There was no internet? Yeah.
Crazy times.
Yeah. So what would you say? I'm sure you've seen a lot of stuff, right? Like, I've been on boats, and look, most 99% of these boats, they run them as well as they can, but sometimes you get a bunch in there, and you need a whole freaking squad to keep these people in line. They have a few, and they don't take it seriously enough. And so what have you seen that you would think is one of the craziest things a customer has done?
I remember years ago, I was working on the Riptide. We had a guy, it was like, we had 103 people on the boat. The boat was a diamond jigging boat back in the day. And he just decides, it's August. He's gonna jump off the boat because he's hot. And he jumped right off the pulpit, and we got him up on deck. Yeah, it was just crazy, and his girlfriend was kind of like in disbelief at the time. But this was probably 20 plus years ago, to put it into perspective, because I haven't seen anything like that since.
Well, that's literally nuts. I know I would never do that. I don't care where we are with the boat. So many things could happen. So many things 100%. Could happen.
I mean, it's during the day. You got 103 people on the boat, or however many people. It was up there because that boat has a huge capacity. Everybody's throwing diamond jigs, and this knucklehead decides he's going to jump off the boat. I mean, fortunately, he wasn't hurt. He was actually a foreigner. I think he was from Ireland or England or something like that. And he just thought it was fine. And we were able to get him out. And we basically ended the trip a little bit early that day. But people weren't too happy with him, I can tell you that.
Well, all right. So look, I'd like to speak about, and I'm pretty excited about your new company, American Made Products. So why don't you tell us a bit about your new venture there?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that. So I'm actually going to make a delivery right now. I was down in Sheepshead Bay this morning, dropping an order off at Stella Morris, and I'm heading down to Fisherman's Den in Belmar right now to drop off another order.
All great people, great people.
Fantastic guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I started the business really, I was on the boat one day. I had my PFG hat on. Everybody's probably either seen it or owned one at one point. It was the American flag made out of the fish. And I'm like, I love this hat. This hat is amazing. Yeah. It's a good hat. I'm glad we finally have something. Anything with the American flag, I'm all about.
Right.
And I got home that night and I'm like, you know what? Why am I supporting another big company? I wonder if there's anybody out there locally doing it. Did some searching around. There was some stuff, but nothing that really incorporated the flag to the extent I liked it. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to a friend of mine who does some design. I said, hey, I want to do this. Like, could you come up with a logo idea? So me and him got together and we came up with the logo now, which I could send you some shots of that, but basically where it's an American flag where the stars are is actually a fish hook instead. So it's the same color scheme, but we put a fish hook where the stars are.
I've seen it. It really is nice. Yeah. It really is.
I fell in love with it immediately. So next thing I'm like, I got to get it on shirts. I got to get it on hats. And that's really how it kicked off. But, I didn't want to be just another apparel company. There's so many guys out there just doing fishing or hunting apparel. I wanted to be a functioning tackle and apparel company. So I started pouring my own blackfish jigs. Do it all by hand in my garage in Yonkers, New York. Hand poured, hand painted, hand packed. I mean, it's a family affair. I have my son, he's 6. He's helping me fill up the bags. My wife's circling the ounces on the hang tags, and my daughter's doing it as well. So it's really been a family affair, and it's been fun, And,
that's great. That's great.
I'm trying to build that work ethic in my son. He does his work, and then he wants his allowance right after. So we got a good little we got a good little program going. But it's been fun. I've been doing it mainly on Instagram, and I have shops reaching out to me just asking me for the product, and a lot of I sell direct to consumer on the website as well, which is allamericantacleco.com.
Oh, okay, great.
It's been fun. It really has been, from sourcing the products and the raw materials. You don't realize what really goes into it until after the fact. I mean, you've built businesses, you know what it's like, but just the outpouring of support from local bait and tackle shops. I'm in about 12 now in the tri-state area. And even local party boats reaching out to me. It's been great. My friend Brendan on the Soundbound has been awesome. He's been, using a lot of my stuff on his boats in New Rochelle and Rhode Island. Captain Chris Cullen from the Island Current, he's been great. Pat from the Shamrock, who I know we spoke about in the past, and so on and so forth. Jack's Bait and Tackle, obviously, that's my hometown shop. So, they were my day one.
Johnny, right? Who doesn't love Johnny? I've been in that place so many times.
John and JR, man, they're great guys, and they gave me shelf space. They really
that really is great. Because that shop is freaking packed. That's really good. And you know what? Every single shop that you just mentioned, I personally know each one of those people. And, I kind of know where they're coming from, and they want to support the local guy. And, you've been around, and I wish you the best of luck. I mean,
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's really what that's what this company's all about. We gotta support each other as small businesses, we gotta help each other out. And our community, although, it's rather large in certain aspects, it really is small. So we really need to depend on each other and help each other out. And that's a big part of it for me. Small, locally owned, and I'm working with some rod builders now, one-man shops just like me, some guys tying flies and teasers. So we're going to have a whole line. Right now, it's just blackfish mainly blackfish jigs, but I'm going to be moving on into fluke teasers and bucktails, and I'm looking into moving into some mojos and stuff like that too. So stay tuned. Great. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's great. Hey, look, let me tell you, when I started Northeast, no exaggeration, I knew nothing about publishing. Nothing. I mean, my wife was like, what, you're going to mortgage our house to start a magazine? You don't even know, you can't even write, you went to police science. But
I'm sure she had something to say, but I'm sure it wasn't nice.
So I did it, and I worked hard, and, there was 7-day weeks, for a while, but it came across, the people liked it, and as long as you produce the product, people do want to support items that Absolutely. Are made here in the U.S., and I'd be glad to help you. But I do, while I have you here on this interview, I want to thank you for everything you bring to NewYorkAngler.com. I think you're funny.
I appreciate that.
I enjoy it. You're light, but you get the point across, and I truly enjoy it. I also like to mention, a lot of people like, oh, you only have 1,100 members. We actually have 1,600 members. I just have a glitch, and I don't really care what that number is. But the point is, our readership has been growing each and every month, which is kind of surprising me because I'm not giving it what it needs right now because I just have so much going on. You mentioned Brendan of Soundbound, and him and I, we have a relationship with the fire department. He's a firefighter, and sadly his brother died of colon cancer, and my brother died of colon cancer, and I do a lot of work for the New York City Fire Department. I do I have an award ceremony, and I do a fundraiser for him, and in fact I'm in Naples now.
Nice.
Yeah, but I have to go back early. I just got a letter that the commissioner is awarding me what they call an honorary battalion chief's badge and all that, which actually
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I got all the stuff already, and they were supposed to do it in May, the event, but they backed it up, so I kind of had to change my whole vacation schedule, but it's well worth it. So I'll be in town.
Absolutely. Please reach out to me. I knew Terrence, Brendan's brother Terrence, may he rest in peace. He was a great guy. I grew up with Brendan. In the same area of the Bronx. So I know him since I'm about 8, and his brother Danny, he actually runs, I believe he runs a Soundbound from time to time as well. So I'm very familiar with the family. And my brother is actually retired lieutenant from the NYPD. So we're all about the first responders. I'm working on a logo update to include the red line and blue line. So that's something we have in the works, and anything we could help with as far as, from a fundraising standpoint, donations, please let me know. I would love to be involved in any of that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. But once again, I really appreciate you helping the site. All of this is starting to pay off. And
the site's been great. You got a great community there. And again, I've been using this word community a lot. It's important. And I think even after the pandemic, I think people are seeing how important having that community aspect in your lives is, because it was rough there for a while, not being able to meet anybody or talk to anybody. And, I find myself going on the boards and having conversations with guys. And then, we have a couple of fishing trips every year, and it's great to finally put a screen name with a face. So, it's nice to have a new outlet.
Nothing like it. And, we have a lot of characters for a site.
Well,
without a lot of people, we get a lot of good characters. And
I'm used to characters being from the Bronx, so I've seen my fair share, and especially the old City Island days, there was a lot of funny guys, but it's great. It's great to have that outlet, and another place to connect with fellow anglers.
Wow. I tell you, I can recall renting a boat from Jack's. and going out fishing, coming back. You always caught fish there, so.
And it was a barrel of laughs, too. You didn't know who was going to be at the shop. You didn't know who was going to be on the dock. Everybody has the stories, the one that got away. And back in the day, too, there was Trader John's, Rosenberg's, the Boat Livery. I mean, that place was like Steven Spielberg couldn't have thought up that place.
Yeah, really.
The stories from that place are just amazing. And it's fun that I was there for a lot of that, growing up in that little island community in the Bronx, when I was younger, there was just so much happening constantly. And it was like fiction if you tell some of the stories, but maybe one day we could get
Oh, believe me, I got so many questions. I'm going to talk about tangles, and I want to talk about, me, on every single trip that you get those two guys that hook each other under the boat. And they each think they have a fish. They're pulling on each other's rod back and forth. And in the
Forget about back in the day. This happened to me 2 weeks ago with two customers on the boat. So I just let them go at it now. Now that I'm a little bit older, I let them enjoy it until they realize what's going on.
Now that is funny. Because you know what? I think I would do the same exact thing.
Yeah. Why bother? They're having a good time.
Exactly. Oh, my God. All right. So, look, just so you know, you got full endorsement on our website. I mean, look, I've given this opportunity to many people, right? But not to the extent you have it, because you've been with me. And if anyone knows me, I am loyal to a sickness. So,
I appreciate that.
So, I mean, and again, I want to have you on more often.
Absolutely.
So keep your eyes and ears open about anything out there that you think might interest the, local anglers. If you come out with your own fishing rod thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I did launch a new product. I'll just leave you with this because I know there's a lot going on, and we're coming to the tail end of blackfish season in some areas. It's called a Rhode Island Wrecker, and anyone who's seen my Instagram, I've been posting some stuff up on it, and it's really great. It's a regular blackfish jig, powder coated. And it has a stinger hook, an octopus stinger hook, which actually is attached with 40-pound fluorocarbon. I actually just got a message from somebody who purchased some from us. He actually just caught two keepers on the same rig up in Rhode Island. So,
nice.
Yeah, we're knocking them dead. But, that's what we're all about. We're all about, the next thing, the new thing. We're the new kid on the block. So there's a lot of jigs out there, but we're trying to keep it fresh. So, just be on the lookout for us. That's all I can tell you.
We sure will. And look, I hope to get an update from you every week, and keep your eyes and ears open about anything happening out your way that we might be interested in. But more importantly, you bring a lot of fishing knowledge to the site, and I truly do appreciate it, and I wish you and your family the best of luck, because hey, it's the American dream. You have the whole family involved, and
absolutely,
and it's a great thing. And once it gets to be too much pressure, you'll hire somebody to help you, and you'll have it all here in New York. So
that's it. Manufacturing and everything. That's exactly what I wanted. We'll see. I was either thinking about maybe doing some sort of internship program for local high school kids who want to get involved with something, or, entrepreneurs in the making. So, I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Well, I tell you, that brain is going, man. That brain of yours is going. No doubt.
It's going 24 hours a day, believe it or not.
Well, it has to. It has to, or you don't succeed, sadly. Yeah. I mean, I am 66 years old. I literally still keep going at it each day. So,
that's it.
And because I love it. So, look, fantastic. I wish you the best. Anything we could do, I want to have you back on. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thanks again.
And congratulations with the new product. And I wish the best to you and your family and everyone that's supporting you.
Thank you. Same to you. And
we'll talk again definitely next week. So get ready.
All right.
All right,
I'll bring
my friend.
a whole list of topics.
All right, great. I appreciate
All right,
that.
thanks, George.
All right,
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, there you have it, folks. So I am going to wrap this thing up pretty soon. I do want to apologize. I was supposed to have Glenn on here, and I kind of messed it up. But the Fuster Cluck, yeah, whew, I almost said that one wrong. Didn't go off this year because of weather. That's not the first time. I can remember years ago when some of the best trips were the ones that ended up right in the parking lot where we never left the dock. So I'm hoping they had a good time. I was not there. I am lucky enough to have been on vacation. So in any case, I want you to know I will be doing this podcast more regularly. It's tough when you're a one-man band, but the situation, trying to get interviews and all, it takes time. But I'm just going to come at you every week, and, I'm going to give you my views. We're going to talk about the fishing. And, look, this year was probably, for me, it was one of the best seasons I've had. I enjoyed fluke fishing so well. They showed up late, but I got to fish with the Leprechaun, Pete, and, Captain Mike together, and we hammered it. We hammered it. It's 2 seasons in a row, and I really love that fishing. The sea bass fishing was, what can you say about that? It's freaking sea bass everywhere. You've got your bluefish seem to be come back, but we haven't seen that. We didn't really see the gorilla blues, but we did see more blues this year than we've seen. When you go from 15 fishing man to 3 fishing man, I'm hoping that that's going to help. So all I can say is we really have one. And then, wait, let's talk about the tuna bite. Last thing. So you got all these gazillion bunker because the rest of the coast is very jealous of what we've accomplished here in New York. The bunker come here, they stay here. We don't have to worry about those big ships coming in and taking them out. And DEC actually plugged a little bit of a hole there was in there earlier this year, which even helped out more. So we have all the bait, right? So I want you to think of what kind of effect this has. So the fleet, they're trying to take the bunker as close as they can to the New York 3-mile marker. And they're there, they're getting some. But there's so much bait that we had bluefin tuna set up for months within 10 miles of shore. You could practically see Manhattan. You could. Wow, a good day while you were hooked up with bluefin. Some of those fish were 500-600 pounds, and they were there. And people, it was funny because I've never seen so many 21-foot center console owners going out and trying to buy tuna tackle in the middle of the season. It was quite a tuna fishing season that we've got. So all around, we cannot complain, and this season is going to finish strong. It's pretty obvious. We've got everything there. The only thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we protect them. So look, take what you're going to eat or feed the rest of the block. Just make sure it's legal. Conserve wherever you can. But more importantly, take advantage of what has shaped up to be one of the best fall fisheries I've seen in many, many years. So again, I will be back hopefully next week, if not definitely within the next 10 days. So I'm hoping to do one each week, even if it's just me. So get used to listen to me, but I will bring you the news. A day doesn't go by where there's something that we can't talk about. From the wind farms to the regulations to the transformation of fisheries, there's many things that we can discuss that will help you catch more fish. So I'd like to thank you all for listening. Please tune in. You can check me out at nyangler.com. It is a friendly local community. New York anglers helping New York anglers. It's all New York all the time. So thanks again. Be sure to listen for the next episode. Subscribe to the podcast, because then like a thing will pop up on your phone when a new one comes in. And thank you all for listening, and enjoy this fine fishing.
Thank you for listening to the New York Angler Podcast. You can find more on fishing New York waters at nyangler.com, your secret spot online. Thank you for listening to the New York Angler Podcast. You can find more on fishing New York waters at nyangler.com, your secret spot online.